Hi Cancer, welcome to a week ahead tarot reading for the week of August 3rd, which is a full moon day, to August 9th. It's rainy here, and as I've said in some of the readings I've done ahead of this one, that this is somewhat of a reason or an excuse to try out my new tarot cards, at least in part. I have a new deck. It's called the Light Seers Tarot. Here's the booklet. And I really dig the artwork. So I'm connecting with these cards, and I hope that you enjoy them as well. So I'm just going to lay out the spread. This is what the back looks like in case you're interested, and just see. You know, I've got my trusty laptop here so I can reference what each, how the spread is in each position and yada yada, like that. So, I'm just seeing if it's, if there were like two cards stuck together. All right. And yeah, I'm not moving my my tripod, I'll tell you that much. Okay, the first position is your week as a whole. Well, that's good for money. I like some of these cards, because it's such a new experience to me, I haven't picked yet, so I get a kick out of this one. I haven't picked, this is the first time I've picked it, the King of Pentacles. And I like how he's got his legs crossed, like he's just very comfortable with his money. And, he's got his dog, he's chilling. And it's very interesting, this kind of depiction, because that is, to me, the ultimate reason for money, not materialism, but that sense of ease where you can live your life and you don't have to kind of be always, trying to hustle for the last dollar that you need, not having extra. And so I see that he's chill, he's just kind of enjoying it. And so I'm hoping that this next week is a great money week for you. That makes sense astrologically, because the sun is in Leo, Cancer, and that is your second house of earned income. So that makes all the sense in the world. And did I tell you this is called Light Seers Tarot deck? There's something else I want to tell you too. Oh yeah, I wanted to just bring up the full moon that's coming up on August 3rd. And for you, Cancer, this will be, let's see. So if your opposite sign is, it'll be in your 8th house. So this is going to be a real deep one. Actually, for those people who are born in June, this is most likely to be in your 7th house of committed partnership. And so this may affect one-on-one relationships. A full moon can bring something to a crisis point where you have to deal with it. It can bring awareness to a partner. Remember that the sun is always in the opposing sign, opposing house. So the sun is in Leo at that time, and it is opposing if this is happening between the 2nd and the 8th houses, this is a money thing, where it's like maybe realizing that somebody else that you're possibly with is doing something that is affecting you in terms of your finances. So what your contributions are may be up for review, because you see that this other person is doing, like, let's say they're spending all of your money or something like that. But the 8th house is a very deep house. It's a psychological house. It's a water house, so it's going to deal with emotions that are beneath the surface, the shadow side of things. And this can come out in a big way. And if this is affecting the 1st and 7th houses, so in other words, if your sun in Leo is actually in the first house, because you can have two signs in one house, depending on your particular chart, then it might be that you're realizing that your needs in a relationship have to be uplifted more, that you are seeing that other person as they really are. Perhaps they had fooled you in a sense into thinking that something was your fault, and now you realize that it has nothing to do with you. So this could be like, I think either way, this could be emotional for you, this full moon in Aquarius. And just the sign of Aquarius itself is very independent and nonconformist. So, whatever is going on, for instance, if it is with relationships, or if it's dealing with your psyche, you're going to probably want to break free from all of the conditioning that has been given to you throughout the years. But the money situation is on point. Something unexpected that will arise. We have the Hangman. Well, if there's anybody who's a Pisces who has been out of your life, maybe you'll hear from them. Isn't that a cool version of the Hangman? I really like this. And I like that it's green. So the Hangman is about being put in suspension for some reason. Hanging in suspension. So it can be, for instance, if you're working, that you get a furlough and you weren't expecting it. It can be that you wanted to put something forward. Maybe you have travel plans and they get put on hold. So the point of the Hangman is live, let go and let God. So in other words, you're not trying to control everything. You're kind of flowing with whatever is, and you don't need it to show up in a certain way for you to be okay with it. So, you know how sometimes, I think especially certain types of personalities, I'm not saying Cancer specifically, but people in general, can be like, get really upset if something they had been counting on is put on hold. And if you can just accept it and flow with it and not get like caught up in, why is this happening to me and all that stuff, of course that's going to be the best way to look at it. Okay, the third position is, how can you stay grounded and balanced? I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my, oh no. Oh boy. How can you stay grounded and balanced? Six of Cups. This is the first time I've gotten this one too. Six of Cups can be children, and even if it's not your children, maybe it's your grandchildren. And definitely hanging around children, or young children especially, such as your grandchildren or your own children, can put your priorities in alignment, because they tend to live in the moment. They're not worried about, what if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? And the other thing about this card, it's a card of childhood and the past. So remembering, what your passion is in life can be a very important thing. Because if I interpret those first two cards, like I'm talking about the King of Pentacles, and I'm saying, well, you're week ahead. Maybe there's something that you feel you're pushing through that has a very strong financial theme to it. And you might be pinning your hopes on this thing when in fact you have to kind of take a step back and look at what is the money for. So even if there's this potential for you to gain financially in a big way, and and something comes up that maybe puts that on hold for a bit, and it feels like a not necessarily a failure, but it feels like a frustration, an obstacle. The Six of Cups is about idyllic times such as childhood, when we tended to have a lot simpler experiences that were very rich. And I think that is the essence of this card, is like the simple pleasures in life. And sometimes we get caught up in the, I don't know, the lure or the promise of what having a lot of money is going to mean to our lives. And not to say that it can't change somebody's life, but it can only change it up to a certain point. And then it's kind of like going back to square one, because there was a book, and it was called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And so whether it's a physical location, or if it's something where you're advancing in a career, or whatever, where you're making more money, and you think that you have somehow transcended your current sort of set of circumstances, that might be true, but it might not be all that meaningful ultimately, because it's, my partner likes to say, moving molecules, where there's like this illusion of change, but it really is still in the material world, and it's not really that ultimately profoundly transformative. An important emotion you will feel this week, and of course, being a water sign, emotions are everything to you. Four of Swords. Oh, this is I never got this one. I hadn't gotten this one yet, so I like this one. And I noticed, because the color of her pants is one of my favorite colors lately, and it's like an aqua. And I noticed that color popping up in certain of these, like in the Hangman. It's a little bit more greenish than that, but I think it's that tranquility and that, in some cases it can be like earthiness too. The Four of Swords, though, is a card that's connected to air and to thought, and it has to do with retreat, kind of like taking a respite from your everyday life. And perhaps this will be on the emotional level, since it's supposed to be dealing with emotions, about not necessarily being in your head. Definitely Cancers can have inner planets in Gemini, because it's right next to you. And your moon sign can be any sign, so there are going to be those Cancers among you who have, and even, of course, the rising sign can be any sign too, who have, an air sign as the moon sign or the rising sign. And so that influence can definitely be part of your makeup, and you may tend to favor your intellect in those cases, because you might see your emotions as a liability. And just, and some people, they really think that logic is the answer to everything in life. And the Four of Swords, if you look at the number 4 and what that represents, that's about order. So getting order, mental order, and how we get mental order is not through thinking. I think a lot of people think, if I just think enough, I'm going to solve this problem, especially air signs. And actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. At least that's my feeling. My feeling is that your mind can only go so far. Your intellect, your rational thought can only take you so far in the journey. And then you have to question your thoughts, because some people identify with their thoughts, and that can make them kind of like a little bit loony. You have to be able to, get in touch with something that transcends this world, which is the intuition. And that's going to transcend the intellect. And some people don't like to do that because they think that that is anti-intellectual and all this stuff. Even there are Cancer people, there are water signs, even like Pisces, who may not like stuff with a spiritual nature, might not like anything that is intuitive based, because they think it's now there's a term anti-science, or, which is basically anti-intellectual, anti-3D. Because that's what it is. I mean, we're talking about things in the world, anti-worldly. And yes, I think some of us would plead guilty that we don't want to always be in the world. Be in the world, but not of the world, right? So, oh boy. A train is going by, and it might be I hope it's not too long of one. I hope you can hear me, but I just want to keep going because, obviously, for obvious reasons, something that will inspire you. Ace of Swords. Oh, I like this. This is the first time I've had this one too. Wow. And this could be like an esoteric symbolism, because the snail or the spiral, that's a cosmic symbol. And you see the light coming out of it. So the Ace of Swords, I mean, that's why they're showing it in the brain region, because the Ace of Swords is like coming to mental clarity so that you can move forward in your life. And this may even be an idea, like I said, with that particular full moon that we're having, which happens to be in an air sign of Aquarius. That is going to affect a certain number of you in the 3rd house. And that 3rd house, in the 8th house. And the 8th house it's a water house. It's Scorpio, but it's dealing with the what's beneath the surface, and being able to get in touch with your shadow. And to me, that is what, with the 4 of Swords, that is kind of like comparable to that, because it's like talking about something beyond the intellect, that you have to like put that aside. You have to rest. You have to kind of stop being too attached to the logic. And then, the irony is that when we do that, then we're able to gain mental clarity. When you meditate, which is kind of watching your thoughts, not identifying with them, you actually help your conscious mind as well as your unconscious mind, but you help your conscious mind. You can become a lot more capable of, I'm sure that it's very good for intellectual pursuits to meditate. So this is also about getting rid of being out of denial about something. Maybe something in your life has been keeping you stuck, and you look the other way, or you just chose to believe things that didn't seem very logical. And the 8th house is a place of secrets maybe coming out with that full moon, because a full moon can bring out secrets. So that might relate to the Ace of Swords. How your spirit guides will speak to you this week. We have the 3 of Wands, and this is a card of, I love that. I got this for another sign, and I really love this card because it's so on point with this idea of freedom. I think that's what the surfboard is supposed to represent, because I've seen this with other fire sign cards with this deck. Now they do have, you can see those sticks on fire. Those are supposed to be the wands. But, and that relates to fire signs. But the surfboard, I think, is kind of like also talking about the freedom that fire signs are all about. Now, the Three of Wands is about you know, something beyond, you know, wanting more out of life. And so how your spirit guides may speak to you can be about this idea of things that you can do to promote, you know, like business ideas. And that's what I think about with the King of Pentacles. This is an entrepreneurial energy. And so, and it's very creative. So you may get ideas, and maybe they are from your spirit guides. I don't consciously connect with spirit guides. I'm sure that some of you might. But the more that I do practices like, you know, tarot readings and things like that, I begin to realize, because I think I have had kind of that rational mind overactive, and I think I realize that some of the things that come into my head may actually be promptings from spirit guides that I'm, you know, either just completely dismissing as thoughts and not really like paying attention to them, or you know, just overanalyzing them and not really thinking if they're of assistance to me, and or thinking that I'm thinking them, you know, all of these things. So there's a real freedom with the Three of Wands, and that might be one of the themes for this week as well. And the last card is how to best support yourself during this time. And wow, I have not gotten this card yet, and the King of Cups, and you see this person is meditating. Now, and you see the starfish. I wonder if this is connected to a sign like Cancer. It definitely is a water energy. Oh, he has a fish around his neck. Maybe it's Pisces. But if this is obviously going to be any kind of healing that you do. Maybe you enlist somebody who does this for a living, Cancer. Whether it is a Reiki master, a meditation teacher, a priest, a pastor, a shaman, you know, who knows? Perhaps this is yourself. Maybe you're training for something along those lines that's going to be your own business one day. Because, you know, the Hangman, by the way, is connected to Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces. So there is that theme here as well. But yeah, very interesting. I hope that this resonated with you at least a little bit. But in any case, if you'd like a private reading, the link is below. I'm mainly an astrologer, but I do this type of card slinging as well. And thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.